gardens are a lot of fun, and there's so many different kinds. So we're out here today at the Old Hickory Village Community Garden with Tina Waller. Tell me a little bit about how your garden works.
We started out with 30 individual plots in this garden. In each plot, a family or a group or an individual might grow their food, and they can grow whatever they want. So we have people that share plots and cooperate on the work, you know, the weeding and the watering, and then get to share the harvest. And we have some individuals that have, they're industrious and they have more than one plot and out here all the time. So it's free for the community, and we just, we use it as an outreach to the community, give them this place to grow their own food. When we first started the idea of the community garden, we decided to have a meeting, a community meeting. We put up signs and flyers and advertised in the community in general to let people know what we were thinking about doing. Actually did a survey to see what interest level was in the area and find out what people might be interested in a community garden before we got it started. Then we had a community meeting and talked about how would we organize it, what would people like to do, and got the input from the people in the community.
Well, and you need some of the basic things. You have the plots here that you've laid out in a great orderly manner so everybody can choose one. How do you decide who gets plots in the garden?
That's a good question. Basically, first comes, first serve is usually the way it works. There are a lot of gardeners that have been involved since the beginning of our garden in 2009. So this is our third year in the garden. So those gardeners that already had a plot get the first dibs on their plot for the coming season. And then we always have new gardeners that are interested in signing up. So if there's a plot available, then we sign up as they become interested. They fill out a sign-up form and let us know if they would like a half of a plot or a whole plot and what they would like to grow, and then we can find them a plot to suit their needs.
Now, what about the water, though? That's one of the hard ones for everyone, because, you know, this seems to be just I know it's an empty lot that belongs to the church across the street. How in the world are you getting water to it?
Right, there's no water access here on this side of the street whatsoever. So we actually bought big totes that we use as water tanks. We run a garden hose all the way across the street from the church faucet and fill those tanks up. And during the summer, that's a lot of work. So we have several people that volunteer to do that, and they might have to fill it up several times a week when it's really hot. Fill those tanks up, and then they just gravity drain out the bottom, and with a hose, we water the plots from there.
Well, that's a great solution, and I'm sure it's a lot of fun when you're watching out carefully and running the hose across the street.
Yeah, we've lost several hoses to cars and trucks.
Well, and that's just part of, I guess, the responsibility of being part of a community garden. It's not just about your plot, it's about being part of the whole community. So what are some of the other community tasks that volunteers do?
Oh, well, the gardeners, when they sign up, they agree to spend at least an hour a month outside of their own plot doing some work. So we have work days where we might have a project in the garden where it needs a lot of maintenance. We just did an expansion in the garden, so we had a work day where everyone came out and helped put in the new fence and expand the garden. So there's things like that that always need to be done in a big garden like this. Taking care of the pathways and putting down mulch and wood chips in the pathways. We also do activities in the community that we invite anybody to come to, not just the gardeners that have a plot here, such as cooking classes or gardening classes, education to teach people whatever they might be interested in that has to do with gardening. This garden has been completely funded by donations. We've had a couple of fundraisers. We do a harvest festival in the fall to raise money to support the needs of the garden, such as fencing and water tanks and the wood for the borders. But all our money has come from donations from individuals and groups and businesses that have donated materials also, such as the wood chips and the landscape fabric.
So here, Tina, I see that you all are really expanding quite a bit. So you've got stakes and string where you're lining out the areas where you're putting the beds. And you have this grass that you're dealing with. How are you dealing with it?
One shovel at a time.
All right, so you got to dig out the grass.
We actually started out by renting a sod cutter and cutting up the top layer of sod, and we sold it and raised, it was another fundraiser, and we raised some money for the garden. so that helped pay for part of the fencing. But then the grass grew back, so we have to use shovels and dig it up, and we actually have a screen that we can sift the dirt through to sift out any pieces of grass or rusty nails or any other treasures that's in the soil here. And then we end up with the soil that you see here, but we still have to battle the Bermuda grass on an ongoing basis. But that at least gets us a good start and makes a nice bed for planting.
And the paths you're covering with the weed cloth I saw, and then with wood chips, which seems to be working great. Right. And the beds, though, you're digging down into the ground, so you're getting the soil below. And then, of course, you have the framing around it so that people won't step in it. So sort of a modified raised bed version here.
Correct. We also have done some lasagna gardening on a few plots, and I plan to do some more of that, where we don't have to dig out the grass, just lay down a bunch of layers of cardboard and start piling on compostable material on top of that and plant right in it. And that's a lot more fun to do.
Well, community gardens are a great place to be. So get out there, meet some new people, learn more about gardening, and take a look on our website at volunteergardener.org to find a community garden near you.